To my new viewers who subscribe to me because of my Ghostbusters videos, you've never seen me angry before, but trust me when I say you're definitely going to see me get flustered throughout this review. I love the first Mirror's Edge game so much, and I was dying for a sequel. 7 years later, we finally get one in the form of Mirror's Edge Catalyst, a remake that had countless delays because EA said they wanted to give us the most refined and perfect gameplay experience they possibly could. But as always, EA were full of shit. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all the problems and glitches I went through in this game in as little as 3 hours. My name's Eric, let's get this review started.
So when the game starts, I was really pleased with the graphics. I just recently reviewed Uncharted 4, so they didn't blow me away, but still, I was impressed. But it turns out that EA deliberately spent the most time developing the first 10 minutes, as this is what they would show us in interviews and gameplay videos. Immediately after, you will start noticing an unbelievable amount of problems. First off is the dipping graphics. Just look at this in-game cutscene. Look at all the fuzz around Faith's hair. Not to mention that her character model really looks like shit right now. But that's nothing. Just take a look at the opening title. I mean, what the hell is that? You can tell the developers want you to look at this and be amazed, but all I see is a mess. The buildings look so plain, and don't even ask me what this Star Fox looking thing is right here. I mean, just look at this. The graphics are falling apart. Stuff like the clouds are disappearing and reappearing. And do you know what the worst part is? Just look what happens when I move the camera around. Chunks of the clouds just disappear. I mean, words cannot describe how embarrassing this is. I mean, even the launch games from the PS1 and N64 wouldn't perform this poorly. Heck, even 3D games from the freaking Game Boy Advance have more consistent visuals than this. How can this happen? We have games like BioShock Infinite that create these huge worlds that look amazing and lifelike, but years later, on a next generation console and after countless delays, EA can't even keep a city glued together. What's even more embarrassing is that the first Mirror's Edge all the way back in 2009 looks far better than this. And guess what? It gets even worse. Do you remember the few destructible environments the first Mirror's Edge had, particularly the windows? In that game, you could actually smash them and create a new path for yourself. Even if it wasn't necessary, visually it looked great and it always felt so satisfying. Well, in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, it has been completely stripped from the game. That's right, a next generation game cannot even smash a window, even though its older counterpart from 7 years ago could do it in a heartbeat. Not only that, there are other static objects laying around, such as this mannequin right here, and I should be able to punch it down, but again, nothing. Is this for real? Again, that's not the end of it. Do you remember kicking people off of buildings in the last game? I loved it so much and I did it all the time. Then I used to watch as they plummet to the ground. It was so satisfying to see. So I was excited to do it again in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, but with improved graphics and animations. So I hit a guy off a roof and I watched, waiting for him to hit the ground with anticipation, and then he just disappeared. I honestly don't know what they were doing. This is worse than the time the guy imploded in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Wow, bungee jumping without a bungee. That could be dangerous. Got that.
So I was just about to get mad at this, but then I noticed yet another problem with the graphics, and that is the streets. Look at how scripted they are. It looks like a video that's floating on top of the visuals, and it doesn't look like it's an integrated part of the game. Also in the first game, when you fall off a building, you hear the sounds of bones crunching when Faith hits the floor. It really gave you a feeling of urgency and realism whilst playing. It also made you feel more cautious. Well, EA managed to screw that up too. Just look what happens when you fall off a building here. A fade to white, followed by an infuriating 10-second load time. Dying in the first game was ironically fun, but it's just frustrating here. Now the combat in this game is decent. Don't get me wrong, it's far from perfect as you don't feel fully in control, but it's the most fun I've had in this game, so at least the game has that going for it, right? Wrong. Just look at this. Yep, you really did see that. This guy actually skip walked. What a glitch. And just look what happens after I hit him. Yeah, bruises like a peach, doesn't he? He just taps that thing and loses the remainder of his energy. As a matter of fact, that happened a lot throughout my 3 hours of gameplay. These guys fall back, and because the game still thinks they're being hit onto an object, their health just continues to degenerate. Already guys, I gave you many reasons as to why this game isn't fun, but I only noticed all that in the first hour. So we still have all that to deal with, plus 2 more hours of problems to go. Right, so let's get back to the shitty graphics. Now watch this part. I come across a new enemy type, he kicks me, and Now I know you saw that, but let's take a look at that again. So she's on the ground, and the floor falls apart. However, she's not going down with it, she's just floating in the air. Her falling animation finally kicks in, and now she's ghosting through the metal board like Kitty Pryde from X-Men. When I first saw that, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? What the hell are you playing at, EA? Also, I'm just gonna stop here to tell you something unbelievable. My little brother was watching me play this. He has played the first Mirror's Edge and was looking so forward to playing this one. However, at this point, he stopped watching me and said, actually, I don't want to play this now. I was ecstatic. My 11-year-old brother said that he didn't want to play a game which is inexplicably aimed towards 16-year-olds. That is an instant game over for EA right there. Even a kid who loved your first game gave up on this after an hour. I should just stop the video right here, but for the sake of the review, I kept playing. The next issue I immediately noticed was the draw distance. Look at the floor right here. Okay, I'm running, I come across a black floor, and just now the game catches up. This ain't the first time it's happened either. It's happened plenty of other times too, and it just shows the sheer laziness of the game's development. Also, when you run around on the roof, you start to realize there's a bunch of people just standing there. You can't interact with them, they just stand there with no purpose. It's like EA forgot to take them out and now they're just awkwardly stranded here. Here's another glaring issue. Tell me what problem you notice when looking at this. Don't know yet? Well, what about now? How on earth can this reflective wall show the rest of the room but not your character? The game does not even have an accurate representation of reflections, and that is something you're graphically supposed to take advantage of with a first-person game like this. The first Mirror's Edge did it for the most part, and again, that game was released 7 years ago. Also, check this explosion out. Even when EA are proud of themselves with spending more time on an explosion like this, still it somehow gets ruined. Look at the window on the floor. It's reflective and shows the explosion, but when you move the camera, all of a sudden it inexplicably disappears. Even the wall over there has a similar problem. Something else that's odd is Faith is not the most detailed character. Noah is. Every time I see him, I can't help but wonder if the developers were told that he's the playable character, because it's blatantly obvious that he has been prioritized over Faith here. Something else I noticed right from the beginning is that the cutscenes run at a completely different frame rate to the actual game. The game runs at 60 frames per second and all the cutscenes run below 30. That's right, not 30, below 30. It's so jarring, and I just don't understand how they can make the actual game and its in-game cutscenes run at 60 frames per second, whereas a simple video can only run at 30 max. And it's not like anything special is going on. The cutscenes are dull, boring, and uninspired, so how come my PS4, which was capable of running Uncharted 4 without a hitch, can't run a simple, crappy cutscene? If you take another game from 2009 for example, like Batman Arkham Asylum, the game already had a great frame rate, but once it switched to the cutscenes, it ran so smoothly that I swear it was running at 60 frames per second, and they were beautiful. They had so much going on and they still hold up incredibly well today. Mirror's Edge Catalyst on the other hand, looks horrendously and unjustifiably dated. Another thing EA did is that they recycled certain parts of the stages from the first game and put them in here. Only this time they looked dull, and when they're getting shot, there's no tiles or bits and pieces flying all over the place like the previous game. Alright, I'm sure there's more graphical glitches later, but if I don't move on, we'll be here all day. Let's move on to the controls. Now in the first Mirror's Edge, they were very unique but quite easy to get used to. In Mirror's Edge Catalyst, 80% of the time, the controls feel like they are trying to catch you out and screw you over. Faith has also become as sensitive as a peach. She literally takes small jumps and gets hurt. You have to constantly make her roll with pretty much every jump. Speaking of her rolling on the ground, it has to be unlocked. You don't get it right at the beginning. The same goes with a bunch of other basic moves like the 90-degree turn. These were standard controls, not unlockable moves, controls. It's the equivalent of not having the grapple in the beginning of the Arkham games. Top all that crap off with uninteresting characters, boring dialogue, and a completely uninspired story. I have never skipped cutscenes in a game before, as I like to know what I'm playing. What interactions and hardships is my character going through as the game progresses? But here, I couldn't care less. How can a game go through delays and still come out with glitches like this? This is just 3 hours in, by the way. I noticed all of this in literally 3 hours. I was initially going to continue playing and then review the game as part of my show, 3-minute reviews, but that just wasn't possible. Also, if a game is this bad, then I see no reason why I should guilt trip myself into playing a game that's still in dire need of development, just so I can feel like I got my money's worth. Mirror's Edge Catalyst has earned the spot as one of the worst games of 2016 and one of the worst looking games of the past 2 decades. So, in honor of its bullshit, it gets a 1 out of 10. 7 years, EA. 7 years. You should be damn well ashamed of yourselves. You have screwed us over so much lately. I didn't think it could get worse than the scandalous Star Wars Battlefront, but hey, you proved me wrong.
That's it for my review, guys. Don't buy this game. If you have, make sure you return it, because we can't let EA take advantage of us like this. I mean, this is damn right extortionate. There was Star Wars Battlefront, but at least that game played well. It worked. This game hardly works, and for a game in this day and age, that is disgraceful. Do not buy this game, let everyone you know not to buy it, and let's boycott this game because it is literally one of the biggest insults to us gamers. And because of this, I'm gonna boycott them. I'm done with EA. As far as I'm concerned, they don't exist anymore. Anyway, that's it. I'm done talking about this game and EA. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and give me your thoughts about this game. And I'll catch all of you next time. Take care.
This video is sponsored by 3-Minute Reviews, the one and only show where you will get the most informative reviews in as little as 3 minutes. I hope you enjoy the show.